And all new at 5, a major organized crime bust. 23 people under arrest now accused of stealing guns and cash.
Today, police revealed 4 organized crime groups are wreaking havoc.
From aggravated robbery to kidnapping, burglary, and more. Let's take a look at this. New pictures from court documents in this case. These are a few of the people who have been charged, and investigators say the money, tens of thousands of dollars, is all stolen.
FBI, open up! Welcome to this episode of Chattin with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Joe Cerna and Craig Gatto. What's up, man?
How's it going, fellas?
Things are great.
I'm good, Craig? Man. Just honored to be here, man, for this. Absolutely.
Definitely. Yeah, this is a good one. So today is Memorial Day, and we're here to honor all the people who have lost their life in the fight for freedom. And a lot of people might not even know what Memorial Day is about, you know. But Memorial Day was first conceived in 1971, and it pays tribute to all the American veterans, living and dead, and to thank them for their sacrifices. So I appreciate you, Joe, for your sacrifice.
100%. 100. Thank you for your service, brother.
Right. It was an honor. And it was an honor to serve next to my fellow men and women in service in uniform. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, to you it was like your Super Bowl, right?
I always say that, Staxx. I always say when I the time that I deployed was kind of like the culminating event that I always said, okay, this is why we train, this is why we serve. And combat, unfortunately, has its ups and downs, but yes, that was my Super Bowl. Yeah.
So where do you want to start today?
Well, you know, first of all, I'd like to say, Staxx and Craig, thank you guys for joining me today, and it's an honor. It's an honor to be on your platform, Staxx, and we've done this a few times. And every time I've come here, I'm humble, man, because I know you have a big heart for the veterans. So, you know, and so if we're gonna start today, well, we're gonna start with why we have this, why we celebrate today, and it's unfortunately it's a day we celebrate lives that have paid the ultimate sacrifice. And so I want to share some stories of my friends who have passed away, specifically on events that caused their lives, that where they paid their tribute. Now I don't want to share their story, their last moments with me. And then, you know, that picture that picture you just put up, that's the stories I'm gonna talk about right now. There's three. There's one gun there, but there's 4 bodies that are pictures that you can't see. There's 4 dog tags hanging from that gun. So we'll start from there. Okay. So I've had a lot of, like I said, I have a lot of ups and downs throughout my career, and I had. You know, and the thing that I enjoy about my service is the people I served with, and you know, and I mean, you know, this is one of those things, like, unlike Veterans Day, we're here to celebrate something sorrow, and at least bring light to them and their families. You know, I spoke to families today of the ones we've lost, and my heart still goes out to them and goes out to them and their families and their loved ones that paid this ultimate sacrifice. So the story I'm gonna share today is about one that happened in Afghanistan, 2008. And in fact, it's coming up on the anniversary. And we were out in that. My ODA, my SF team, was. I was on my 3rd rotation, and I was inserted with this ODA probably about a year before that. So we've had time to train and all the things we were doing, and we have time to practice, rehearse anything that goes wrong. We have time to prepare for that.
Yeah.
Well, there's some things we can't prepare for, and those are the what ifs. and we've tried and tried to troubleshoot and say, you know what, if something happens, how
Craig,
we?
My bad. Craig, if you want to hold your phone, you can fold your phone the other way so your finger is not blocking the screen.
Yeah, I feel like Frankenstein over
Just
here, bro.
put it the other
Yeah,
way.
I can see you just fine, buddy.
It's fine, man.
Yeah, I don't
Right
want to
there,
Good
ruin
like
this.
that.
I
Don't worry.
don't
I can see
want to
you
take
just
away
fine.
from this at all. I'm sorry.
No, you're
No,
good.
I can see you just fine, Craig.
Thank you.
So I was on Operational Detachment Alpha 713. That's a 7th Special Forces group. We call it ODA. So that's an A team, and our job is our area of responsibility is South America. But when I came into when I joined the group, it was the rotation was going on. I joined right after 9/11. So any trip to South America that I was that I thought I was going on was going to Afghanistan now. Anything we trained up for was for OEF or OIF. And so my group was covering down in Afghanistan. So in 2007, my team was tasked to cover down on or support the Afghans as a whole mission with the commandos, and that was a new unit standing up. That was like the Afghan Special Forces, and we were going to team up with them, and so we were doing joint operations, and I mean, it was a pretty good mission, but one day after training, we would train them, we would train the commandos in cycles. So say we had 3 cycles. We had one company resting or going on vacation. We had one in training, and that's all they did. And then we had one in conducting operations. So there was 3 cycles and 3 phases. We'd start with the first one, and we'd work 3 months. If a phase was 1 month, the whole cycle. It was one rotation, I guess you'd say. And so we had the opportunity to work with the commandos out of those. I guess there would be 2 units, one up north and one down south. We covered down on the one in southern Afghanistan that covered the Helmand, Kandahar, and all the provinces in the south. And it's kind of hard geographically to explain it, but we were covering the south, and it's a big area. So we were doing a lot of flights in and out, a lot of hits. We take the group of commandos we trained, and we'll jump on a helicopter and we'll go hit them. We'll go hit targets. So there's this. So the event I'm talking about is the event that man, it's really shaped my life here. We were on a training cycle, and we were there all day. We got up with the commandos. We were training them, and then we did our ranges. We were shooting all day, and the guys were smoked. The team was smoked, right there, the south zone, right at the bottom.
Yeah,
that's kind of the area we were covering. And
Great job, Billy.
that was badass. That was really good when bringing up the graphics like that.
Yeah.
And so we got a call at the end of our day on February 27, 2008. It said, "Hey, your sister ODA, one of the team members, stepped on a landmine, or called anti-personnel mine, while he was while he was doing his job." And so our task now became training the commandos to leave the commandos here. Let's go pick up our boys, or let's go pick up our boy.
Take them with you?
No, we're gonna leave them there. We're gonna leave them there. We'll say, we're gonna put them down. We'll put them back. We'll put them in the barracks. So we're done training today. We're going back to our house, and we're getting ready to go. So that's what happened. And we were on equipment that I've never worked on, and it was brand new to the inventory. And I'm not gonna say that's the reason. I'm not gonna say this is the reason. But we jumped on this equipment. There was 4 trucks, and our job was to say, "Hey, the brother that I had got blown up.
Yeah.
His A team was trying to bring him back to my base so we can send him home. So that was their job, to recover his remains, put him on a truck, and bring him to us. Well, in the process, they were getting stuck because this equipment I'm talking about is not. We were at disadvantage because the trucks were so heavy that we couldn't operate, and the roads were so remote. There weren't many we call it hardballs, but there weren't any payments to drive this truck on. It was too much weight, and we were trying to cross these fields.
Is this the truck right here?
That's the truck. That's the MRAP. Yeah.
So it's brand new. You guys don't really have any experience with this.
No experience on it. No experience. And this is all. And I've already told the people who investigated. We sat down for hours and we said, look at this truck is not meant for that terrain.
How many people are with you?
There's 12 guys on the ODA on an A team.
Yep. And
then we have translators. So there's an additional 2 people that help us translate. And then we have on this specific mission, we had an additional. So we had 3 Green Beret trucks, and then we had 1 tow truck. It's called a wrecker, and the wrecker had 2 guys on it. So there's probably that group had about 15 to 16 people on there, and we were tasked to take the tow truck, go pick up my buddy's remains, recover the truck that's stuck, and then come back and send him off. Send my buddy home. So that was that in a nutshell was what we were doing. It didn't start off as combat operations. It wasn't doing any of that. We weren't kicking in the door. We were going to get our buddy, bring him back. So it probably had to be in the evening, man. We were smoked out. We were already tired. And when we drive over there, we drive under night vision. So it's not like we have headlights. We drive with we call them nods.
Oh, so it's complete darkness. You guys are just driving through the desert?
Through the desert. And if nods, you can. It depends on the moon and that ambient light. If it comes in, you get more. You can see more. But you think if there's no moon, you're gonna be relevant. Your nods are gonna be relevant to with the moon side. So we didn't have any. It was really limited as far as the moon coverage. It was hard, so it was hard to see. I guess what I'm saying. Yeah. And so we were staying. We staying a safe distance. So if I'm trying to say this without and give information away. That's what I'm trying to do. So we were staying in distance. So we would cover each other, but we would not be grouped together. If that makes sense. Yeah. And so at one point on our drive, and I'm not sure how many hours, man. I know it was late and we were smoked. And this is it was between 10 and 1. I guess that window would be like, I have no idea. And I never went back and revisited the operation summary or the investigation. I just don't want to do it.
How many people in the front of the truck and how many in the back of the truck? And can you get to the front of the truck from the back of the truck?
No. So there's 12 people, and I guess I'm going around the back. So in the front of that truck, the one I was in, it was called an RL30, MRAP 39. It was the first generation. Yeah. There's 2 people in the cab. Yeah. And you can see them, but you can't access. There's no access there, and there's 2 people in the back. Okay. Trucks are bigger now, but the one I was on was the first generation truck. Anyway, there was no way to get in. So anyway, there was 4 trucks, and we were cruising down the road, and we had 3 trucks that the MRAP you just put up, and then at the record, we seen the guys in we seen the headlights, we seen in the field where they were stuck. So we tried to get to them, but we kept getting stuck ourselves. And I was the last vehicle in the convoy. At some point, the convoy managed to make their way back to a hardball so we can get on stable platform. And that's when my truck had an issue going down the roads. Again, it was hard to we were on a dirt road. I knew we had a field to our right, and I had water to my left, and we were driving down the canal road. And at some point, the road started breaking, giving away, and you know, it was one of those things where the truck was so heavy, it was top heavy, all the fuel, all the ammo cans, and everything that, and again, our experience in driving this vehicle or this equipment under these conditions was limited.
Yeah.
So we were so when when the truck tipped, once everything shifted, if it completely fell on the side. Once it went down the embankment, and my back was to the canal, so I was kind of looking towards. I was looking inwards in the middle, and I couldn't. I had so much equipment on, I couldn't get my seatbelt undone. And at one point, the truck, probably wherever the capacity was, filled up above my head. And I kind of raised my head up. I had enough strength to raise my head up, and I said, "Help me!" And my buddy Sean, that was sitting in the front, said, "Hey, jump back there, help Joe, or stand up and help Joe." And the guy next to me, which when I say next to me, we were hugging. That's how close. That's how tight the cabin space is. He popped my seatbelt. We stood up, whatever directions, whatever standing up is, and the truck completely went upside down. At that point, the doors are 600 pounds, and it works off hydraulic system. The hydraulic system cut off because the power got cut off. The water pressure on it, and then the steps fell on the door. And then I would go in the water, and I'd try to unlock the door in the back. It's a back hatch. And I would tell my buddy, "Hey man, give me a helmet, give me a helmet." And then at some point, I just I smelled, and I heard popping bubbles. I heard and I can't see. You can't see. It's pitch black. But I know the water's rising, and I could feel the coldness. It started feeling my chest and coming up to my neck, and I'm like, man, you know. And we're making a light. I'm like, hey man, we'll be out of this soon. We'll be out of this soon. In my heart, I know it was like a bad situation. I knew we were in trouble. I didn't know how serious the situation was. And then I heard a pop, like bubbles popping. And then from there, I started smelling diesel. And then I was like, well, whatever cabin space we have is now being polluted with diesel fumes. So now we're inhaling this stuff. We're inhaling it. And I heard my friend, I heard my buddy, Matthew. I heard Matthew. Sorry, guys.
No, it's all right, man.
I heard him say, "Hey." I heard him say, "Hey, my lips are going numb." And I said, "Man, we're gonna get out of here, man." And then I felt his body, because he was on my back, and I felt my body start shaking, convulsing. And then and the water did not stop, man. I'm like, and then when he said that, moments later, I started feeling the effects. So, you know, when you love life so much, man, you know, it sucks. It sucks in that situation. It sucks because I was thinking about his family. It sucks that I was thinking about my family. It sucks that I was thinking about our loved ones. I was thinking about breathing. How important is life, and oxygen and air and everything that you enjoy. And I decided to take my gun out from my chest and put it to my head.
Oh man.
And then say, you know, if my moral conviction is what I believe in, and somebody hurting themselves that way, then I'm not going only in one place.
Yeah.
Or I can say, you know what, I'm gonna continue to fight. But I remember putting the barrel. I don't know how. I'm not getting too deep on this, guy.
Yeah, don't get too graphic on here. It's too.
I'm not getting too deep on this. But I remember putting it up and going through those points and saying, you know what, I have more to live for.
Absolutely.
And I dropped it, whatever I had to do.
Now, can you hear people on the outside? Like, what's going on? Can you?
So when I dropped the gun,
Powerful.
I grabbed onto something and I went out. And the place I experienced to where I went out was something I never want to revisit again. And this happened over and over again. Like I would snap out of it, and the water be to my nose, and then and it was my hell that I went to, and then I never want to experience that again, man. Because it was, and so, and they say, and I haven't read the reports, but they said somewhere around because they couldn't find us at night, and the only reason why they identified where our truck was after 40 minutes is the predators. Predators seen wheels up in a creek, and that's how they knew that our truck was there. Other than that, they went from having 3 trucks or 4 trucks to 1 disappearing.
Oh, so it just slipped off the embankment, and they don't even know where you went.
No, because we were limited visiting. And then at some point, somebody said, "You know what? F, man, we'll just turn our lights on, right? Let's put the headlights on. We're gonna find these guys. Just take it off equipment." And so it came down to that point to search for us, and we're probably no more than, I would say, altogether in a quarter-mile radius. So we were underwater, and so when they finally found us, they hooked up the tow truck, and I'm thank God that there's a tow truck there. I heard the metal clanking. That's what snapped me up. And when the tow truck started winching me up, winching the truck up, the water drained, and
you still can't see anything.
No, and then my friend, he kind of reached through the back, the gun port, and he's like, "Joe, open the hatch up," which is on the top, but the top's on the side now. It's tilted over. He's like, "Open that up," and I'm looking at him, and he's like, he reaches through and he grabs my chest and he pulls me. He said, "Breathe." He does that? I breathe, and he says, "Open the hatch up," and I just followed instructions after that. They pulled me out, and I remember my body shaking, and it was what they said was I had toxic inhalation and hypothermia.
You're swallowing diesel, right?
I was swallowing diesel, but not only that, when they had airlifted me, and I'm gonna connect to my friends. And they airlifted me on 2 separate flights. They said, "Okay, you're gonna fly one way. You're gonna come down. You're gonna pick up Joe, and you're gonna bring the other helicopter in." When I got on the helicopter, the Air Force pararescue, that's their special operations, they tried to hold me down, and my body was on fire. And I didn't. And afterwards, hours after, I realized that where was constricted on my neck, my waist, my arms, the diesel was burning. So I started bubbling up there. So we got to Kandahar Airfield, and they rushed me in. I'm sitting on the table, and the place was murky, man. It looked all brown to me. I seen people around me. I wasn't cognizant of what was going on. I was on my back. My head was towards the emergency room doors of the airfield, and then everybody cleared out, and my two bosses walked in, and I couldn't look over the side. I had to look up and behind me, and they're like, "Joe, man, we gotta tell you something, man." I said, "Yeah." They said everybody's dead. They said everybody on that truck had died. And I said, "What do you mean?" I was just talking to them. He's like, "They're all dead." When the helicopter picked me up and everything was going on deep inside, I knew something was tragic, but I didn't want to think about Sean. I didn't want to think about Jeff. I didn't want to think about James Matthew. I knew something had seriously happened, and as a safety switch or safety mechanism, I shut that off until I got to the hospital. And when they walked in and said, "Man," then they just started coming back. All these, it was like little pixels that I was thinking about on the flight there And when they said your friends had died, all these pictures come together, and I started saying, "Oh man, I know what happened. I knew it happened." And the young man who saved my life, and this is something I regret really to this day. But the young man, to honor him, this is the only thing I could do at this time. At this time, that my wife was 6 months pregnant with our first. We knew we were having a boy, and we didn't have a name picked out yet, and someone had called after the accident and said, "Hey, Joe's coming home. He's alive." I told her that, and I was in the hospital, and they wouldn't let me. They wouldn't give me a phone because they had to notify Sean, Jeff, and James.
Because they didn't want you to tell anybody about it, right?
Nobody. Yeah. They gave me. They give me like. They turned their back for like 30 seconds. They said, "Here, call your loved ones." And I picked the phone up, and I said two things. I said to my wife, I said, "Hey, the first one, I'm not coming home. And the second one, our son's name's Matthew." And I hung it up, so I didn't hear about it.
Did they give you an option to go home?
I don't know. They didn't give me. My first option was sending me home. They had notified me that I was going home. I chose. I decided. I said no. I'm not going. And I don't know any reason behind it, but they didn't. They said okay. They honored that. They said okay, you'll stay here. And who knew? Like 2 months later, I get blown up. but the boys on the truck, man, was Jeffrey, Sergeant First Class Jeffrey Rada. He was the driver. He was the medic. Amazing guy, man. Amazing medic. He just got to the team. He had so much heart on him. You couldn't ask for another person to take care of you the way he cared about medicine and the way he cared about his men. We call it the TC. The guy in the passenger seat that's Sean Simmons. He was an experienced boss. He was our boss. He was the heart and soul of the team. And he would tell the young ones, said, "Hey, when the wives were worried about it, when we were back home, before we deployed, he would say, man, he would take him and say, I'm bringing your husband home." Unfortunately, he lost his life.
Sorry to hear that, man.
And the young wife he was talking to, her husband, he lost his life too. That was James Matthew Treber. That's the one to save me. So
it takes a lot to go through all that and stay.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm staying. Yeah. What was the reason you wanted to stay? Was it to honor them and keep moving forward? Like, what was the reason for you to stay? Why wouldn't you just go home and be with your family?
Staxx, I always think about that every time. I don't know what my motivation was. And if I give you a reason right now, I'd change it tomorrow. My initial, my initial knee-jerk reaction is, this wasn't my first accident. The first time I lost a truck like this. And over the years of fighting, when I say years, like a couple of years of deploying, I've always, I wanted some type of closure for their family, and if it's to do bad things to bad people, I guess that would be my way of healing.
Yeah.
And then and then I can say, well, I didn't want to come home and be alone while those boys were deployed. But you asked me today, and I couldn't tell you an honest answer. I would say this, that I do regret making those decisions. And if you ask me again, knowing what I know now, I take care of my family first. And I think it was as honorable as it was. It was just as much greed. You know? Like I said, man, you get to the Super Bowl, they're gonna put you on the bench when your team's playing, and that's kind of the mindset that I had.
And you probably had regret, like living with that guilt, and you're like, I'm gonna move forward because they're there, so I'm gonna keep pushing.
Yeah, well,
do you think it made you a little reckless after this happened, like with the way you would conduct yourself out in the
Yeah, that's
like
a good question. That's a good question. Well, initially, when I said the initial, I say yes, absolutely. It made me reckless because as far as fighting, not when I came back, as far as Afghanistan and the person I was becoming,
right.
it made me 100% reckless. Saying, you know what, I'm going to throw a caution to the wind. They can't get me now.
Yeah.
And without a helmet on, without body armor on, just give me grenades and magazines. And when I say this to soldiers, it's kind of hard because to explain this, because most of the time, when we're deployed, when you're in a regular army unit, you have to have this equipment on. You have to have your helmet, you have to have your dog tags. But when you don't have that around you, we call it the flagpole, and you know how to fight and you know what to carry. Well, at least I thought I knew what to carry. You get into it. You said, man, I'm gonna modify my equipment. Shit is hot, man. I can move faster without my helmet. I wear my body armor, but then all I'm gonna do is carry grenades and magazines. That's all I need. I'm not in first aid and everything that else comes with it. But then you modify your uniform. Okay, I'm not gonna wear dog tags. I'm gonna sew something on. I'm gonna sew my last four digits on my pant leg. And if I get shot, then they can see it on my leg. So why carry dog tags, right? So I had at one point I would run around with no U.S. identifying marks. I wouldn't have IDs, and so
that's a dangerous thing to do out there, right?
Reckless. And I would run around with these commandos, and we split our teams up. So I'd take these guys out, and we'll do operations with just 12 Afghanis, a translator, and myself, running around like. And that's how I got injured. And that living wrecks like that. I didn't pay any. That's what I became, was my environment.
So when you go through a situation like that, you start to feel like you're invincible. Like, I made it through this, right?
Yeah, well, that wasn't. Yeah, exactly. And that's and I had a history of, well, I didn't, but just being in that environment, you get put in positions in that situations the very first time you're deployed. And I'm going through. I've seen, and I experienced a lot of trauma to myself. A lot of bad stuff, unfortunately happened to my friends. I've seen a lot of my friends get killed. And this is when we deploy, we come back, we train. As soon as you get trained up, you fly out again, you're deployed again. And this is a cycle. So you never have time to decompress and say, you know what? Life, maybe I need healing, or maybe that situation that I was in was messed up. It just becomes you. It's like abstract, and so you realize that if I'm gonna get out of this situation I'm in, I'm gonna do whatever I can and to protect myself and my team. But you become that.
Billy, can I ask Joe something, please?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Joe. I gotta ask you a question. I have no clue what it is to go to war to defend my country. None. I only could lean on a story like you're telling, or possibly others. It's not even close, but I could tell you the anger and maybe some of the recklessness that would go on after being part of, it's not war, but we took it that way, serving, being down there during 9/11 when they blew everything up, the towers, and lost 5 or 6 friends. And I remember just the feeling of sickness and people that you didn't know coming together, being one. I'm talking, from all sorts of personnel, and everybody had this. But I know it's not the same, not even close. But there were some drills that went on during there that we actually thought, things were going to come down on you in the building. You're cleaning up. They're finding friends. I had firemen, policemen, whatever. And not knowing, like, a situation like that's small compared to what you went through. And it affected me being reckless, and later in life, just that whatever you want to call it. It's nothing close to what you went through. That's the closest resemblance to what they were calling it's war on us, and we're in it, like, where we didn't know what was going to blow up next. They were telling us things that were crazy shit that we weren't trained for. Construction workers cleaning up, trying to help out that way. And I'm sorry to interject that. So
No,
I guess,
absolutely. No, this is honest. Thank you for sharing that.
yeah, man.
That does mean a lot. And
Sorry, Billy.
No, it's all right, man.
Craig, trauma is trauma.
Yeah, you don't
Whether
realize
it's
it.
here or whether it's over there.
Yeah.
What you experienced was terrible, Craig. And I'm glad you're sharing this now and
Yeah.
just like I am sharing, and I really appreciate you sharing that
Couldn't
moment.
imagine.
And
I related to, like, when my father passed away. I'm like, fuck it,
Yeah.
I start
But
acting like extra reckless because of it.
but yeah, I remember Billy being reckless after that, like being down there 3-4 months straight, 16-hour days, and it's different. But I remember the recklessness, the bottle, using it. Maybe that was an outlook, but then just taking it out on everybody. Like, you lose people you love, you guys you grew up with, and I remember just taking that out on anybody that, for the wrong reasons, that you perceive to be what the model was for terrorism then. No different than if we're looking for an IRA member, we might be looking for a guy with red hair and freckles. You understand what I'm saying?
yeah,
So
yeah.
you're looking for a wise guy, you're looking for a certain thing. This was no different. So you took it out on the wrong people that didn't have shit to do with nothing, and now you become, because of what you're witnessing every day, and the pain of it was just crazy, and it was nothing close to what you've been through, not even close. And
Well, I don't know about that,
it
Craig.
developed an issue for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, and I don't, and I'm not. Thank you for sharing that, and it's
Yeah. This on your
it,
chest.
yeah, and I appreciate that, and I'm sorry
Different
for
situations,
different
Totally
situations.
different. Yeah. That's why I want to make that clear.
But it's the same outcome.
I remember the anger though.
It's
Yeah.
that same anger, it's that same emotion, it's that
Yeah.
same trigger, it's that same smell. It's all
I
the
have to
same.
ask you a question. Do you have a problem with, because I'm guilty of it too. Like, say I do a boxing show on my podcast, and it's very common that people use 2 words in jest: war and God. And they'll just use it in jest. And what I'm saying is this: boy, these guys are really going to war all night. What a war this is. And I'm guilty of it too. Does that bother you when you hear that? Because that is not war. When you've been in war.
I
Does it bother you?
I don't say
I've always wondered.
I when I hear commentators say it's a fight, when I hear football players saying, "Man, it's wartime," and I know that's just banter, but I don't use that term, war,
Loosely.
when it comes to outside of armed conflicts.
Combat,
But
right.
yeah, I don't say that if it's and here's my thought behind that. You have, say, for example, you have two boxers, and they're like, "Oh, they're at war," and I understand that's just a way to describe the match.
Right. But still.
But at the same time, in my head, those 2 guys are going to leave paid, and they're going to go home with their
9 out
families.
of 10, they're walking out of that ring. Yeah. Rich.
in U.S. on U.S. soil. And so I you know, and I always think about this too. I say, you know, when I'm done fighting, I go back. Our service, our men and women, they go back not from fighting, and at that time they're in, when deployed, they go back to their compound. And is that really safe for them? It's still in another country. So when I hear boxers and well, sports analysts, when they talk about and they use that term to describe, and as an adjective, I understand it's just a way to communicate.
Yeah.
The
I try to be
aggressiveness.
aware of it, though. I do, even before, and I'm probably guilty of it, but I think it is something people should be more conscious of, and myself included. Definitely.
I appreciate
Absolutely.
yeah,
100%.
it's a different.
Sorry,
It's a
Billy.
different.
It's all right.
I'm just,
So what was your recovery time like after this incident happened, and what happens next? Like, is there a funeral for your people that you were with, or do you get to attend it? Like,
okay, so for us that are deployed to say goodbye to our loved ones, we call it a ramp side ceremony. This is when this is like the rawest moment of, to me, war. And you had a picture of it. If you could bring it back up again. And I don't know the next one. It's we call it ramp side because you're taking right there. You're taking your friend's body, and you don't see it there, but this is kind of like the procession that follows. There's 4 caskets that are above us, then in front of us, and they have the American flag is draped over their coffins. This is our way of saying goodbye. So after they pass and we have to send them home back to their loved ones, we have a ceremony for them. And it's, you see, the one I was saluting in is kind of the one that's the ceremony we have. And following that ceremony there, we escort their bodies to the aircraft. So that's the ramp side of a plane. So it's a ramp, literally a ramp on the plane.
So this comes before or after the ramp? This first, right? Or this is after?
This is their. It's like a funeral procession. You have the service. This is the service, and then you have the procession to wherever they're going. So and then the last thing we do is put them on. So this is first. So this is the first thing we do. So
so were you in the hospital for a long time? And like how long until from when you first get to being recovering from that until you go to that service? How long a time is it?
If you look at and I don't want to go one back, but if you look at that ramp ceremony, if you look in the middle, I'm in hospital scrubs.
Oh yeah, I do see you right there in the middle.
I'm still hurt. I just came out of the hospital. They were like, stay in the hospital. And I said, I'm going to do ramp side. And they gave me, Red Cross gave me pajamas and a white t-shirt. I have a Red Cross on it so I can walk with the guys. So, and then after that, following that, I wouldn't want to get on the truck. I had a good boss. To say, you know what, man, get back on the horse. And that's the only way you're going to do it. Get back up in the fight. And so that probably was about, between the injury and that day, it was about 4 or 5 days.
That's pretty recovery. Quick.
Yeah, it's super quick. And that's what's having a good leader, having someone saying, you know what, don't jump right into it. Let's go to the range. Let's get your hands on some guns. Let's get your mind busy. Let's get you practicing, rehearsing again. Let's get the team moving again, not just going back into the fire. And that's kind of how
that's
I
a leader.
Going. That's an excellent leader.
That's a great leader from what it sounds like. Let's get you rehearsing again. I like, wow.
And that's a good leader.
Wow.
And they're saying, okay, we'll give a guys a couple of days, to decompress or to, if they want to speak to a chaplain, understand, the human nature of this, because we are,
human beings.
We still have to mourn, and having a leader say, you know what, give a few days off, but how we get the guys back together. Okay, let's just get the guys back together, and then back on operations.
But there's
So,
other incidents happen while this is going on, right?
yeah,
Like there's other things that are going on. People are in firefights and different
yeah,
things are
yeah.
happening.
This is just, and this happens to. I mean, this happens to every team. We always lose somebody. This happens to every team. So the war doesn't stop. The fighting doesn't stop. The missions didn't stop. It was just our team taking a break.
Yeah.
It's just 12 guys saying, you know what, we need time to say our goodbyes, pay our respects, and okay, it's time to get back on the horse. And if you guys, you know, if it, you know, it's one of those things. It's kind of a touchy subject, you know, how to get someone, you know, get back in the fight.
So where do you go from there? Where do you go from there? What's
Well, not long after that, like I said, I kind of carried myself. I don't want to say reckless because that would endanger my team, but I carried myself with more anger, and
no fear of getting killed, right?
none. And not long after that, we go on another mission, and I'm shaking somebody down, and and from that I get hit with a suicide bomber, and that's my third injury, and that one knocked me out of the game. That one said, hey, Joe, sit your ass down, because I was.
It's when he rolled the grenade out, right?
Yeah.
Interrogate, you know, that we did an interview and a
On
video about
yeah.
that. Yeah, the whole situation.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
what was the first injury you had? Before the truck incident.
The IED. My truck got blown up. It was we hit a pretty bad and this was first in country, and without going into details, I lost a lot of dudes too. It was we hit an IED. My truck
Just on the side of the road.
It was under the truck. We drove across it.
Is it nighttime or daytime? Like,
no, this was daytime, and this was early on in the war. So you got to remember, early on, we didn't have the capabilities or the technologies we had to protect our vehicles from we call it remote control IEDs. So somebody taking a cell phone and it's no longer a pressure plate. It becomes activated when you.
So they're just like sitting over there waiting for you to come, right?
Yeah, because now you got to think about they can't blow up their village in the villages, so they can't put a pressure plate where they touch and it blows up, because it would hurt a lot of civilians, and they would really, and so they can arm it without being there, and it's armed just by remote control, and we didn't have anything to defend that. We didn't. We have, and I'm not going to details with it, but we can control the bubble and the signals that come within that bubble to protect us from RCIEDs. But we were so early on in the fight, we didn't. Not every truck had that capability, and unfortunately, my truck hit it was bad. It was bad.
It ripped the truck apart.
100%. It did it, and it pushed it forward. It threw everybody out. About, just honor that guy, man. It threw out. I was gonna drive that day, and my friend came out that wasn't assigned to the team and said, "Hey, I can go." And I said, "Okay, you're gonna drive." And so I jumped out of the driver, and unfortunately, Master Sergeant Easy lost his life that day. I remember finding his body. He was about 100 feet away. Everybody was blown out. Wow. But to honor him, Memorial Day, Master Sergeant Easy.
Yeah, that's why we're here today, is to show all the heroes of.
And that accident was February 28th, 06. But yeah, I don't think I ever shared that with you, Staxx. But that was my first injury.
And you kept going.
Yeah.
So 3 times they offered you to go home 3 different times, and you denied it every time.
Mm-hmm. Well, the last time, I was.
The last time they threw a grenade at you, man.
Yeah, last time I threw the metal, I couldn't even move. And you know what though? Speaking of just the will to live, and how important that is to somebody. when I was on the ground after the grenade, suicide bomber, I told them to keep picking me up. I said, team, I said, hey man, I don't want to die in the sun. I want to die in the shade. And they moved me to the shade. Then I said, man, the shade's not shade enough here. Move me to a different shade. And they'd move me. And then I said, hey, get flies off my face. I want the thing was just the will to survive. And I've had friends where they were speaking and they'd get shot and they have a normal conversation, and on the way to getting treated they would die because their body relaxed and they'd bleed out. And so that was going on in my head. So that's why I was always moving, trying to fight.
Yeah.
And I was even fighting when they took me to the hospital. They thought I was Afghan because I didn't have anything on.
Yeah.
I didn't have no uniform, so they were going to take my buddy. They got hit, and anyway, that was good stuff. And they put me with in the recovery room. They put me. The British did, not the Americans. The British. They put me after surgery. They put me with a group of their Taliban. Taliban is hell because they were talking shit to me, and I was fighting with them, all doped up. But that was it. But yeah, I always had the will to keep to fight and had a good time.
So you've been through a lot of, huh?
No, but if we had more time, I would share some more stories. But yeah, that was to honor those guys.
Yeah, if they want to see those interviews, I dropped a link in the chat for people to check out the past shows we did, and you explain it all like in detail.
Yeah,
about how that all came about with the dust and all that shit. You really explained it good, man. Like not a good situation, but you broke it down pretty detailed.
Play by play.
You know what's amazing, Billy, Joe? You know what's amazing? You sit back and you hear this, and it truly puts things in perspective of what's going on in the real world, and it's really minor. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is something. Yeah, this is very serious, and there's a lot of things that are nonsense that we pride or whatever we take very serious. It's a joke. This is something that is very serious, and you need to be honored for it, and you are. You are. I know about Billy, and I definitely feel, and the whole chat. No question about that. It's a pleasure and honor to be here.
You're a painter now.
Yeah?
I'm trying to paint.
How we doing with that?
You're doing
not
it.
Too bad. We're not too bad. Yeah.
All right.
It keeps me busy. It does keep me busy. It keeps my mind. It keeps my mind going. I know it. And I enjoy doing it. And most of the time, it's like somebody that my loved ones, like my kids, like, Dad, can you paint this for me? And so I still kind of paint I'm doing. Just paint.
Have you had anyone reach out to you and get anything commissioned or anything like that?
Then there was a couple. There was a few talks about doing some things, but right now I'm trying to drill down my skills to make sure that I get better before I share anything like that.
You're good, man. You should.
I was going to ask, what are you painting? Like,
get it going, man.
What do you do? Like abstract, or like you paint portraits, like everything? You mess with it?
Yeah, I like abstract. I'm definitely comfortable with abstract. Obviously, it's not staying within the lines and kind of, just doing my own view. But yeah, I like doing abstract. And then, I've done some cartoons, and I've done some football teams, and I enjoy. I
couldn't draw a stick figure. I can't even draw a stick figure. I'm not ashamed to say it. Horrible. Forget it.
Did you just start finding your artistic ability?
Yeah. Well, I had when I came home, I had I got some trouble. That Staxx.
Yes. If people don't know, there's another story that goes with Joe.
Yeah. I gotta watch all of them.
He got into some legal trouble, and the judge
went to jail.
Stayed in prison with him.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't surprise me.
And so one of the things that I was ordered to do was go to recovery. And recovery had the warrior's heart, man. What a blessing, warrior's heart. They focus down on addiction and and PTSD, and that was kind of my middle ground. Like that's where I needed to be, and I picked up painting there. So probably within the last couple of years, yeah.
That's awesome, man. I
Yeah.
love to see the success stories, you know.
Yeah. I
Absolutely.
mean, it's not easy. I mean, it's a
Trust
road.
me.
There's
I
roads.
know, man. I
Staxx,
know.
you know.
I know. Shit.
All right.
You know, recovery is it's a process, and I'm here to tell people you can do it.
I remember
19 years, no alcohol. 19.
Congratulations, man.
About 19, 20, maybe more. Just that I couldn't. I got to a point where I wasn't like somebody that drank every day, but it was when I drank, I had to close the place and go to find another place. And then it became, you know what I mean? So it's a problem. Either way you go, it's a problem. You know, you got to close the place. And then it became violent.
Staxx is the one that, Staxx, you're the one that remember. I don't remember that phone call we had.
Yeah, man.
And he's like, "Hey, man, this is what you need to do," and kind of, he helping the next guy. And Craig, that's awesome that you in 19 years.
Yeah, awesome. But yeah, just when you want to prove you could do something, you do it. You just say to yourself, "This ain't gonna beat me. No way, no way."
Nah, there's a lot more to life. There's a lot more to life than that.
Yeah, I just but whatever. You don't realize it, but I'm so honored. I'm really honored to be here.
Craig, it was an honor to speak with you and get your story as well.
Yeah, man, it's all good, man.
Hey, I'd like to do it again, Craig. Whenever you have
if Billy will have me, I'll be here. He knows that whenever he calls, I'm there. Let me say something about this.
He's got a show too, man. He can have you.
Really? We'll drop you a link every night. Absolutely.
No, you have him on your show, Craig.
I would love to. Are you kidding me? That's up to Joe. I would love to whenever he wants.
Absolutely.
That would be beautiful. Billy will give me your information. That'd be amazing.
No issues at
platform all. And something that needs to be heard.
Absolutely.
This gentleman here, he knows how I feel. I didn't have a single. One day I'm going to just let me start this YouTube thing. Never thinking I would ever talk whatever I was going to talk about. This gentleman didn't know me from a hole in the wall. I found his number. I don't know how. I saw it on YouTube, and without knowing me, no problem, pal. I never interviewed. I don't know how to interview nobody. I'm not a journalist. No problem. I'll give you my story. From day one, didn't know me from a hole in the wall and came on with me. That says about something. He wanted to help somebody. He wasn't afraid to say his story, and that means a lot. It means an awful lot.
Hell yeah.
You put yourself out there. You don't hide behind an avatar.
I'll help anyone, man.
And I appreciate that.
Absolutely. That. I want to tell you, Billy, in my neighborhood, this is the 138th year straight they had a Memorial Day parade. 138th year straight. Yeah. And they take it very serious in this part of Queens, New York. They take it very serious. It's been that way since I'm a little kid. And it's great. And now it's gotten a little bit smaller, but it's still something where people come out and honor, no doubt, all the store owners.
It's like the kickoff of summer, basically.
But it truly, whoever comes out to this parade understands it's not about the barbecue. They know what it's about. That's what does, it's beautiful. It really is.
That's why I had to come on here and have Joe share his story so we can honor the people who lost their life
amazing.
During
and Billy, I truly I'm just so happy to be part of this. I'm done, man. I'm just listening. I'm sorry.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Well, thank you, Joe. I appreciate you. And if anyone wants to get a painting from Joe, just reach out.
Reach out.
Joe, Staxx will give you my phone number. You will get in touch whenever you want to come on. Would love to have you on. Would love to.
100%.
Definitely. I put a link for
as long as you don't mind being with the little guys. I'm not as big as this guy.
Oh, come on,
He's in major leagues.
I left a link for Craig's show in the description of this video.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Go subscribe and enjoy the rest of your Memorial Day.
Absolutely.
There's the rest of the day, whatever.
All right.
And have a great week. We got a lot of great shows coming up. 10 o'clock tonight. Pee Wee from the Hells Angels, former president from Arizona. Stay tuned.
Hey, Billy, I could get used to this. I'm starting to like this sidekick. I'm starting to like the co-host thing. I'm really starting to feel this. Joe, it's a pleasure. God bless you. Be safe, Billy. I'll always talk to you. Thank you so much for letting me be part of this. I'll always remember this.
Definitely, man.
And Joe, will speak soon.
You want to give anyone a shout out before we go, Joe?
You know what? No, let's just close it out by honoring the guys and the women, the men and women that served and paid dope sacrifice. And
Billy,
today's their day.
Can I shout out somebody that's in our chat? He served 2 tours in. I don't want to tell his story, but he served 2 tours. His name is Mr. Duke Lopez. He served 2 tours. I'll let him tell his story. Hard, woof. Joe, very similar. Someday he'll hopefully tell his story on the show and whatever. But a guy like you, man, a machine.
Definitely, man. Thank you guys for joining me. Stay tuned for more content. If you like this content, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell. And if you don't like it, too fucking bad. Start your own podcast. Peace.
An all-new major organized crime bust. 23 people under arrest now accused of stealing guns and cash.
Today, police revealed 4 organized crime groups are wreaking havoc.
From aggravated robbery to kidnapping, burglary, and more. Let's take a look at this. New pictures from court documents in this case. These are a few of the people who have been charged, and investigators say the money, tens of thousands of dollars, is all stolen.